Alright, Diablo players, it's time to show off one of the top tier builds in the next upcoming season. So I want to start off with this intro clip that's using the same exact mechanics that we will be using in the Fireball build. And so you can see I only have 5 HP. This is a Tormented 4 Lilith, which is one of the harder bosses in the game. So you can see I can tank her attacks. But the more impressive part is taking her big Hadouken that I want to go and show off kind of as our little intro clip. So basically we're using the brand new Chaos perk called Mana Shield, and even the giant Hadouken that comes out when she does this, you can just basically tank that no problem at all. Again, it has to do with the mana, not necessarily the HP. So I wanted to start off with that clip and kind of explain why this is going to be one of the #1 classes in the next season. It's definitely going to be Sorc. So I also want to go ahead and actually show the Fireball part of the build because it's using, again, the same exact tanky setup that we run with the Hydra variant. And in fact, almost all Sorcs next season will pretty much become Immortal. Now, of course, there's things subject to change, but it's pretty much impossible to kind of delete, unless they delete Mana Shield, which is part of the new Chaos perks. It's still going to be incredibly tanky. So I want to go ahead and start off with mentioning why I consider this the #1 recommendation build for next season. Now, Hydra is still going to be good, and Ball Lightning is probably going to have one of the top tier in the push potential. I have the builds already uploaded for you guys. However, I wanted to focus in on what I consider the #1 recommendation and the #1 spot for the best build for the new content. There is without a doubt no competition. The Fireball Sorc will dominate the new content. The reason why is because with the brand new Chaos Uniques, you're able to basically throw on more stuff. Every single build is going to become way more powerful. But the thing with Fireball is it's already one of the top tier things for clearing out things in a small area where you don't need to basically move. Now, you can still run Harlequin with GA in the area of cooldown reduction and get crazy cooldown reduction. However, for the new Infernal Hordes, you don't really need to be teleporting. You're basically going to throw a fireball, it's going to bounce and delete everything. And with the special enchant, what happens is if you kill an enemy with fireball, they explode in another fireball. And with the enchant, you can actually get a bonus on the damage. It does do 50% of the damage, but you do so much damage, you're going to be one-shotting everything in terms of the Infernal Hordes, the Infernal Chaos. This is the new update here. Even if you were doing Nightmare Dungeons, you're literally blowing up the whole entire screen. This is going to be one of the top tier builds when it comes to this form of content. There is no competition with the exception of the Tornado Necromancer, which is another huge recommendation. So the reason why I'm going to recommend Sorc over it, I already showed you guys the intro clip, and that has to do with the survivability. The Necromancer is definitely on the squishier side, and I would not recommend that class because of how squishy it is. Compared to this is no joke, like basically Immortal. You can actually sit in a lot of the Lilith mechanics as well. I was testing that out with the mana regen, but we're here to focus in on Fireball. However, the build is ultra tanky at the end of the day. Compared to any other class, Mana Shield is just superior in terms of survivability, and then it's pretty easy to gear. The only thing that cannot roll as a Chaos Unique is the gloves, so you have to get the gloves in this area. But now that I got kind of the intro out of the way, I want to go ahead and go over the build guide. I'll explain the skills and everything, and I'll give it to you guys early, and if there is an update from the PTR and all the footage that we have, I will update you guys, and I will update the planner, and I'll probably make another video if we need to. If it's just a number change, then there's no real need here. But this is going to be one of the best builds. Again, you literally push one button, it explodes one enemy, and then it's going to explode another, and again, it's like a domino chain effect, and it's super satisfying to play this build. So for starters, running Firebolt, you don't need to push it. It's just used, and I've updated the skill bar. It might not match here in the gameplay, but I've updated to kind of mathematically calculate via the planner which one's going to be like the best for the DPS and smooth gameplay. So I've oriented this to be really tanky. Obviously, it's going to have superior DPS because Tormented 4 content is pretty easy, but the clear speed, even if you have like the higher DPS, right, with let's say Hydra or Super Ball Lightning, you can't clear as fast as Fireball. Nothing in the game, you're one-shotting, even the new Aether Lords, it just one-shots everything. We just get this because it's even more damage, but we basically only need to spam Fireball. If you want even more damage, you can throw in the Familiar or throw in any fire skill. It's just free multipliers here. And then this way, we don't have to mess around with the Tal Rashas. There's an update where Tal Rasha is taking a nerf in the new season for its damage. Now, if you do just want the cooldown reduction for the infinite teleport, and you're one of those top 1% gamers, and you're like, I'm going to get a Greater Avix Harlequin with cooldown reduction, triple masterwork, GA on Tal Rashas with cooldown and triple masterwork, hey, you do that, and you're still going to be able to teleport super fast. but realistically, for my number one recommendation, I can't say for your average player that they're going to get a greater affix cooldown Harlequin, right? So that's why I oriented it this way. But if you want to mess around with Talrashas, it's okay, but it's only for the top end in terms of min-maxing for speed in teleport. So that would be like Nightmare Dungeon content. But this is the area that you need to farm for the new Chaos unique. So that's what I've made this build around, and it's the number one recommendation here. Honestly, I don't like playing Diablo without teleport. If you want to go higher in the pit push, you drop this and you're going to get way more damage. Throw in any other fire skill and you're going to be good to go. Remember that this skill, it counts as everything, but it swaps when you activate a fire skill. So it's only when you swap to teleport where it doesn't get its bonus. And then for the enchant, it doesn't really matter. I just threw in the fireball, and then this one is optional. Run whatever you want. If you want to run this one, it's okay. We don't run any other thing to really proc it. It's just there because it's another fire one. But again, run whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. Just fireball is the only important one. And then as far as gear goes, we're going to be running air perdition, and I'll explain all of the things in the chaos department of why we get core skills, but core skills is going to give you big DPS. Then we can run Fist of Fate, Banner Swords Talisman, Crown of Lucian. Any of these can kind of be interchanged. But on the gloves must be gloves of the Illuminator because they cannot roll as Chaos uniques. Then the Staff of Endless Rage. Now, I put some notes over here what you can do. There is a couple options. So, Staff of the Endless Rage, you want those ranks to Fireball. That's the most important thing. You can run this as a two-hander, like a normal weapon, or you can run it as a Chaos unique. And the important thing that you want is the ranks to Fireball, because that's going to give you another multiplier. It's up to you what you want to run. I'm trying to make this as beginner-friendly and tanky as possible, so I put it over here, and then we put Axial Conduit over in the boots department. Don't get a regular one. The only thing that matters is resource generation and maximum. This is how you basically become immortal in the game. And then we can run a two-hander, or you can run an offhand with cooldown reduction if you want to, and in total, it doesn't matter how you get it. Just get your chance for fireballs, projectiles to cast twice. Just get this as 100%. It doesn't matter kind of how you get it. Just get it. And then another thing that you would not normally need in this build is you do not need any HP. So do not get any maximum life. That's why this build is so crazy tanky and I was able to survive with 5 HP. We do not get any HP. It's all based off of mana. And then we run the Firestarter aspect. You can get any of the ranks to whatever. And the other thing for offensive category is getting Pyromancy attack speed. So the reason why this one is better than regular attack speed is it rolls in category 2. In category 2, you can go beyond, specifically 100%. And that's why we also play Accelerating, just to make the build go even faster, because you can then ramp up your special ability of Staff of the Endless Rage every third cast, so you want to cast as fast as possible. The third cast is your mega giga damage that Hadoukens the entire game, and it literally blows up screens of enemies. It's so OP. Although in here you're kind of limited to space, but you can see that the massive triple fireballs, and then you get, again, way more because you get the double fireballs. It goes crazy. But Accelerating is great over here, and then Starless Sky. So the most important stat that you're really looking for is core skills. If you really want to get extra core skills in your helm, this is ideal, but you could still one-shot everything, just as a heads up, without having to worry about this. So if you're like, do I have to get these triple masterwork? No, but it will give you more damage in case you do want to be someone that pushes in the pit. As far as the runes, again, we want to max out on core skills. So Vex is important, so you can run Neo Vex. You can also run Ahu Ohm. You can run Igni. It really doesn't matter too much which one you're running, but you need to make sure that you can facilitate the amount for specifically Vex. This one, if you activate Igni too early on, it won't get the bonus. So you can also run Seer. Seer's like a great one. You don't really take damage anyways with this build, but your HP damage does get drained before your mana, but if you get hit once, you won't have any HP to take anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you can run Neo, it really doesn't matter, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw in Seer there, because you can attack quite fast. But again, it really doesn't matter. Just run Vex, and then the other one, it doesn't really matter. Vex is the only important thing to run, but if you do run things like Igni, you have to proc it at certain intervals, so it'd be easier just to run it like this. And then we just want crit damage. It's the only important thing. But as far as the powers go, because this is actually one of the most important parts of this build, is that you want to make sure that you select Mana Shield. This is the most important thing, so this is why you don't need HP. So it gives you crazy amounts of mana, so you have 99% reduced maximum life, and then you gain crazy amounts of mana. So it gives you your mana regen is increased by 5,000 and you gain 400% maximum mana. And then every point of int gives you additional mana. So getting GA int on your weapon is actually survivability as well, which is great. And then the important thing is to run advanced techniques. This makes it so our core skill ranks increase their mana cost. It doesn't matter because you have so much. You just get 20x damage over there. And then on top of that, it's going to make it so it has this increase of the mana cost. So if you want to run Crowd Illusion, that is an option, but I just found it to be unnecessary unless you're pushing. And then Power Siphon over here, your core skills deal 100% increased damage, but reduce your maximum current resource by 20. It does not matter. You still have basically infinite mana. Now, the last perk is optional. You can take Accelerating Chaos for additional cooldown reduction, or you can take Marred Guard for extra armor as well as Barrier and Fortify. The only thing in this that matters is specifically getting that increased armor, because the barrier does not matter, because barriers based on your HP, and if you have 5 HP, you get 1 barrier. It's just like nothing. So basically, it helps you armor cap really fast. But I honestly went in with basically 400 armor, no resistances, and the build was, again, it's basically Immortal in the game. Now, it probably will get tuned a little bit, but you can literally cut this, divide it by, I don't know, 10, and it's still pretty powerful. So don't worry too much if they even do nerf Mana Shield. I do 100% expect nerfs, but unless they delete it out of the game, it's so incredibly godly. And I honestly I would prefer them not to nerf it, but even if it gets, again, divided by 10, I still think it's very, very, very OP, as you guys saw from the opening clip. Now, as far as the skill tree, let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for you guys, but the first 2 points don't matter. Then you just go into Fireball, and then you just get all of the extra like damage here. This one, you just put a point into it. It's just whatever. You need it to basically get, if you really want to try to res cap, you can eventually get res cap. But Teleport over here, just extra damage, because we are Immortal anyways. We get this extra lucky hit chance to proc other things. But for the most part, it's just one of the most important things I'll explain with the build. Is that you do need to roll specifically a chance to restore primary resource. Otherwise, you will run out of mana eventually. Now, in the new update for the season, they did actually change some stuff. Also, Infernal over here just gives you infinite mana anyways. It doesn't really matter. But it does have that proc of extra multiplier of x50 for the pyromancy skills. So that's kind of cool. But we get the same thing that we've been getting forever on Fireball. But I'll mention the roll on the ring, which did get changed really quick over here. So one thing that you do need that's very, very, very critical is specifically this thing over here on your ring. You need a lucky hit chance to restore primary resource. It has an update in Season 10 where they deleted it off of weapons. It only rolls in the ring, which is why we don't run Tal Rasha's. Also, Tal Rasha's took a nerf anyways, and again, accelerating it rolls in category 2 for attack speed, so it is superior, but it's specifically we need some sort of way to restore resource. If you don't, then you're dead. The other option is to run the Lightning Paragon board, which is actually something that you can do, which is really cool, but that's the Ball Lightning Fireball variant, which I'm going to make another video, which can still do Pit 100 plus. It is one of the top tier builds as well, but again, it plays so much differently in terms of like the gear, as well as like the Paragon. So I'll make a separate video for like the Lightning version. You can see, this was the brand new boss, by the way. In Season 10, we get a brand new boss. I'll be honest though, almost every build can just like one shot. I mean, like, watch how fast he gets. This is the super mega boss. They said he was going to be very challenging. This build, I mean, the guy didn't even finish his voice line and he was already deleted. But as far as the Paragon board, let me go and make this a little bit bigger. So with the first starter board, we're going to be going with Tactician. This is also why we do play the Flame Shield. Again, Flame Shield isn't used for survivability like you normally would. It's just you get a damage multiplier. Same thing with Teleport. So we just get this. And another thing I want to mention, the one thing that I am also going to give you guys a huge bonus with as far as a recommendation, the reason why I'm considering this one of the top builds to build, is you have basically easy ways to max out. Like, you can basically be done with this at like 200-ish. And the reason why I say ish is because there's a lot of additive stuff that you really don't need. But the thing that makes the Sorceress really strong in Season 10 is all of the defensive nodes. You don't need any of them because the build is so crazy in terms of survivability. You don't even get any survivability off of 2% of 5 HP is nothing, so you don't even benefit off of gaining extra HP. That's why I love this build so much. And then for the second one, we get Frigid Fate, which has to do with like cold damage, but again, non-physical damage counts as fire and cold, so it doesn't matter. So you're going to get this one, don't worry about it anyways. And then we go into Fundamental Release, and we're going to be critting and as well as burning the enemies. And we get a Flame Feeder over here, so increased damage to burned enemies. We automatically will apply burn on Fireball, which is awesome. And then with this we get Pyromaniac, so every single time we use a fire skill, it's just extra damage. And then we go into Destruction. Another thing that is important is you do not need to get 100% crit in the build, because this will give you an additional 15 critical strike chance. You should be able to reach it really easy in the next season, because like you can throw on all these chaos uniques. And then you want to go ahead and play Destruction, because you can get 100% crit very easy in the build. And then we can play Unleash or anything else. This gives us increased mana regen, but it's the only one that kind of gives you just another like free multiplier that doesn't have like a little like hoop that you got to jump through. So I like Unleash, but this one is definitely one if you want to swap into anything else, by all means go for it, whether it be damage reduction or whatever. And then we get Enchantment Master. The important thing is even though I mentioned before that like your enchant has to be Fireball plus any other second one. The second one doesn't matter, but it has to be fire. Okay, that matters because it is a multiplier as far as the damage goes. But yeah, have some fun with this build, guys. Again, there's nothing that even comes close to this other than the Tornado Necromancer. Now, I will definitely admit that Tornado Necromancer can be played with a controller, and it's way more OP with the controller. You literally can spin around your analog stick, and you will just literally delete the entire screen. So if I was to recommend the top 2 builds, I'm going to also recommend that one. However, the difference, like I mentioned before, this build is straight up immortal in the game. Like once you're finished with the build, you can get like 30,000-40,000 mana, and that kind of correlates to basically HP, but the difference is that the Lucky chance on Fireball is massive. So when you have the chance to restore primary resource, you can actually sit in some of the Lilith mechanics out of bounds, which is supposed to delete your character, and I think that there's some numbers that where it just like deletes your character no matter what, but I was sitting out there for several seconds, which you shouldn't be able to do. So again, the build is just incredibly tanky, but this one, I think that it will probably be one of the most fan favorite builds of the next season. Kind of like how last season everyone and their grandma played Hydra, and Hydra's still good, by the way, but I'm going to put this on my #1 recommendation simply due to how good it feels for the Infernal Hordes, especially when you get the Goblin one. There's like this specific one with Goblins, and like watch how fast that you can delete these. If you've ever played, once you guys see the Hoda Barb, it is so bad for the Goblins, and it's simply because these run around so fast, and because you can delete one, and if one spawns in at the moment the other one gets deleted, you get this really cool chain reaction where you're just blowing up hundreds of goblins. I mean, look at this. We're on wave 5 and we're at like 500 Aether. This is very, very uncommon. But yeah, I'll definitely update you guys if this build does change. But this way I can get all of the video. Okay, you can see it right there. You see where like the goblins were just spawning and it just kept on killing them. That's what I'm talking about. Well, you would not get this with the Super Ball Lightning or the Hydra. But going back to what I was talking about, is I will be dropping a lot of these video guides early, and again, I will be updating the plan, because I know sometimes there's that one person that comments, this is PTR, it's getting nerfed, and like you can't really like nerf this without literally deleting the Chaos perk. Again, even if it takes like a 90% nerf, it is still going to be absolutely top tier, unless they just delete the Fireball enchantment, which would be a very strange nerf. But if they do that or something does change, I'll update you guys. But this way I can have the video guides already ready for you, so when the season does start in roughly 20-ish days is kind of what we're looking at, somewhere around there, then all of my guides will be ready for you. That way I don't have to spam your sub box with 50 videos as soon as it comes out, right? Anyways, that's gonna wrap things up. Drop a like on the video on your way out, and if you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell if you want to see an update to this build, as well as the Tornado Necromancer. That is going to be another really awesome build in Season 10. But take care, Diablo gamers, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.